let's jump on your request for today.
Okay.
So I just went back and looked at what you sent me as your wins and your overall goals for the year. But the thing that you said that you wanted coaching around was asking for professional development. Is that
Hmm.
still the thing that you want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, just tell me a story. Where are you with seeking professional development, feeling supported with your request for professional development? Just tell me the narrative that you have around wanting development, but not feeling like you can request it.
Mm. So right now, I think because of the situation with our org and finances and things, I think it's just hard to ask for help or assistance or to be developed without an excuse of there's no money
Mm-hmm.
or even development from someone on another part of your team. I'm not really sure how to request that either.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I would love to learn how to do things cross functionally, like more so with Power BI or Tableau or something like that, just so that I could expand my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if I'm better able to dig into Power BI, I can identify trends so that when I'm making coaching moves, I'm able to provide my core members with the supports that they need.
Right.
Um, but I don't feel confident in Tableau. And I also know that my manager doesn't feel confident in Tableau or Power BI.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to request access when he can request it from the person who does know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, let's walk in your manager's shoes for a mile,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's in it for him for
Ooh.
you to know how to use these tools to the level that you would like to learn them?
I feel like if I was able to use the tools as efficiently as I would like to use them, I would be able to pick out, like I said, those trends to be able to fill in those gaps. We're always looking at core member retention, sense of belonging, sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm able to disaggregate that data using that Tableau or Power BI, I'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to like find my own trends instead of, I think sometimes we always look at it as two CMs or one CM as a whole. And it might not be every coach that is having a difficulty in a certain particular area. And I would be able to set more meaningful goals around whichever area I know I need to improve in.
Yep. So the reason that I started there is the first step in making a difficult request is figuring out how not to make a request for yourself, but how to make a request that's good for the person you are asking. So if you can align your goals with what you know your manager's goals are, then you have a great, like, what you are basically asking that manager to do when they say no is do something that's not good for you. If you can figure out how to connect what you want with what he wants in terms of outcomes, then him saying no is counterproductive, right? I feel like you might have froze. Okay, I saw you freeze. Tell me how much of what I said that you caught.
So I heard you say, what was the benefit that could come across to my manager? Like, how can I market myself learning this new skill to him?
Right, exactly. If you can align what you want to do with what he wants to accomplish, then you make it counterproductive for him to say no.
Okay.
Right. And because I know about how the approval structure works at your job, you got to do that for a couple of different people. You not only have to think that way for your manager, but before your manager can tell you yes, he's going to have to go to his manager and present him with the same request. And that's where your yes actually comes from. So when you think about your ED, not your manager, what's in it for him?
I think what's in it for him is having a more diverse group of people who can look at the data. I think right now we only have one person, cisgendered white male, who probably has some gaps in like cultural relevancy
Mm-hmm.
or just being able to see things from a different lens. And so having a team of more than one person who can kind of see things from a different perspective and fill in the gaps would be more beneficial to our like our overall diversity goal when we're talking about more BIPOC individuals having access to different spaces. I think that that would help our team as a whole.
Right. And I'm also thinking about the fact that one of the obstacles to you, or one of the obstacles that you feel you have in getting a yes to this request, is finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are asking for development on an in-house tool where you could very likely find the person that you need to teach you the skills that you want to have within the organization. So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about learning that you could potentially get at no cost that would be of a benefit to everybody in the region. Having somebody with a coaching context, eyes on data early, and knowing that somebody who served that primary role is one of the people that is no longer on the team. That's not only a need that needs to be filled, but it's a gap that exists. Like, the team does not yet know what the experience will be to not have a James, right?
Mm-hmm.
But James served a purpose and a function. So I think that one of the advantages that you have is you're not asking them for development to create a new kind of expertise. You're asking them for development to be the person who plugs in a gap that now exists because of the way the team had to be restructured. Right. So first step in making this request is make sure you are asking to do something for them, not to do something for you. What's in it for them? And ground your request in that. I think the second thing for you to think about is like, you make it easier for somebody to say yes to your request when your request comes in the form of a full proposal. Meaning, who is the person that's on staff regionally or nationally that you could schedule 45 minutes with to talk through what kinds of things could I learn from this tool? How do I actually operate in it? If you can find that person, then what you're not asking, like, okay, great, I want to do this, who could help me? You're able to say, so I did my research and I know that these people are experts at the tools that I want to learn. I would love to be able to carve out these specific dates to be able to spend this much time with them learning these tools. And if I meet my learning goals and spending that time with those people, here's what I'm going to be able to bring back to the region, right? So
Okay.
bring them as fully formed a request as you can. So it's not, can I do this vague thing that I think might be good for us? Because that's easy to say no to. But here's this thing that I know will be good for us, and here's how I get it done. Are you down or are you not? It's a whole lot easier to say yes to that second request than to that first request. And I think that, like, also knowing how relationship driven your team is, you know that you're going to need ED approval to get a yes on this, but make sure that you follow the chain of command just as a matter of, I know that my yes has to come from my immediate manager, and I'm going to make it of him, even though I know that before he can give me a yes, he's going to have to talk to somebody else, right? So what is very likely to happen is you go to Trey with a lot of details and he says, send this to Chris, right? Right. And that's fine, because that's where the yes ultimately is going to come from. But just following that chain of command, even knowing what you know about where your yes will actually come from, shows that you are invested in everybody knowing what it is that you are up to and how it is of benefit to them.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you hear those two like key ideas, aligning what you want with what they want and coming to them with as fully fleshed out a request as you can, where, if anywhere, do you still feel like tension or an obstacle to getting your yes?
I think now knowing that they, if I come to them with how it benefits them and with the fully fleshed out plan, I think it makes me look more serious in my desire for wanting this development. You also hit on a key point where it's actually not going to be of an expense. I think I was also looking for someone else to be like, this is the person you go to, and I actually hold that power myself. Like, I can figure out who on the Owls team can I schedule this time with. It's just making sure that I take what I've learned and I'm able to repurpose it to use for the team's benefit and to share that information with them. I think that's the area where I kind of slip off with, is like, how do you make the formal request? And then how do you prove at the end, once you've learned something, that it was worth me splitting my contracted hours to learn this, and how does it
Right.
benefit the team?
Right. And remember, like, you are in a tenuous situation in terms of what happens next at your job. The
Yeah.
people who stay on the boat are the people who show themselves to be extremely valuable, right?
Mhm.
So making your own opportunities to learn things that you aren't sure anybody else on the team knows, and knowing how you are going to turn all of that new information around to the benefit of everybody that you work with. The next time difficult decisions have to be made about who stays on the boat and who doesn't, you've got something. You've not only got the precedence of you being able to turn your own knowledge around for the good of the team, but now you've also created like a less desirable situation for you to not be there. Well, if Courtney leaves, now we got to find somebody else to pick up this knowledge and be able to turn that information around to everybody on the team, right? Everything that you pick up makes you a more valuable player, and simply taking the initiative to be the person to pick it up also makes you a more valuable team player. So I don't think that there is any way that you can lose here. I believe that you are going to get your yes, and the amount of resistance that you feel is simply going to be a matter of how you make this request. Do you go to the right person at the right time with the right information and with the right promise of a return, right? If you give me this yes, here's what's in it for you. I think that you're going to find that making this request and getting to that yes is a whole lot easier than you might think it is.
Okay. I'm going to spend tonight kind of like fleshing out who I'm going to contact, like a timeline, illuminating that this is like someone on our national team already. This is how much time it will take me away from my day-to-day duties.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the product that will come as a result.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So remember,
like
because the thing that they have to give up is no longer money, it's time on task for you. Then you just got to make sure that that loss balances out for them in exchange for Courtney not being XYZ for these many hours in a week. What we get in return is XYZ knowledge, XYZ person that we can trust with whatever this knowledge can be turned around to use, right? So show how there's a benefit to me being present in classrooms maybe one day a week, because this is what I will bring to the team in exchange for us investing that one day a week.
That's exactly how I needed it to be worded. How can I prepare them for my absence of my daily roles and make it seem valuable to them?
That's it.
That's perfect.
Yep. That's it. All right. Yep. So set a date for yourself. When are you going to have this plan ready to share with your manager?
I got my calendar pulled up now.
Look at that.
Look, I think this week has been I would say it's been a pretty light week, but it's doing what it's doing.
I bet it's not.
By the 11th, I will have this plan marked up. I'm actually going to put myself a calendar hold.
Okay. So you said on the 11th?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put on my calendar on the 12th to check on you and make sure that you got it done. And then I'll check on you a week after that to see if you've gotten a response. And if we need to take next steps after that, we can talk about what next steps come. But I believe if you do the things that we talked about today, you're going to get your yes and you're going to get it on the first try.